Hi, everyone. Welcome to Conejo Valley Visionaries, a new podcast spotlighting the people and stories behind some of your favorite Conejo Valley small businesses. I'm your host, Cristina Dennstedt. In today's conversation, you'll hear from Juliet Tabbara. Juliet is a board-certified holistic coach, owner of Nourish Within Wellness, and founder of the Conejo Valley Wellness Community. After studying psychology in college, Juliet's first job was in recruiting. She quickly learned that life was not for her. It was a serendipitous move to Phoenix with her then boyfriend and an entry-level job at a health insurance company that put her on her wellness career path. Juliet gets candid about her own health journey, imposter syndrome, and how her desire for in-person connections led her to create a community of like-minded folks in the Conejo Valley. With that, I hope you enjoy my conversation with Juliet. Before we get started, I'm excited to share that one of our previous guests, Marina Edelman, licensed marriage and family therapist and owner of Edelman Counseling in Westlake, is generously offering Conejo Valley Visionary listeners 20% off their first therapy sessions booked with an Edelman Counseling associate. Visit edelmancounseling.com, that's edelmancounseling.com to book your appointment today. When checking out, write Visionaries in your appointment note to redeem this offer. This offer applies to Edelman Counseling Associate appointments. If you have not listened to Marina's amazing story from financial analyst turned therapist, go back to episode 5 and have a listen. Hey, Juliet. Thank you so much for joining me on Conejo Valley Visionaries.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, and I am thrilled because if I remember correctly, I think it was actually Darlene who was an early guest on the podcast who connected us and thought that your story would make an excellent business story for the podcast. So thank you to Darlene and thank you to the Conejo Valley Visionaries community for making these introductions. It's been such a fun part of getting this podcast started, is meeting people who maybe I wouldn't have known otherwise. So I'm really excited to have you here. Let's get started with what we like to do at Conejo Valley Visionaries is kind of start from the beginning. So as a child, what did you want to be when you grew up? And then what did you end up studying in school?
I had no idea as a child. I went through a phase of wanting maybe to be a vet because I loved animals. And I always loved being outside. But really, I had no idea. It wasn't until I got my undergrad in psychology because I thought those classes were most interesting, had no idea what I wanted to do with it, and then got into a job in corporate America that I was super unhappy with and realized kind of later on, late 20s, almost early 30s, what I really wanted to do. And that was to help people with their health and wellness.
And when you said you studied psychology, just to go back to that for a minute. Mm-hmm. And was that something that you enjoyed the idea of the classes? Did you ever imagine using that degree as a profession?
I mean, I liked the classes a lot, and I really felt like the pressure of you have to choose something. And I just didn't know who I was at that point in my life. I thought it was interesting, trying to understand people and figure out why they do the things that they do, the motivation behind their behaviors. I didn't want to be a therapist or a counselor, necessarily, because I felt like that maybe that would have been, I'm an empath, and I felt like I would have had a hard time disassociating other people's very serious, problems in their lives with my own feelings about it, if that makes sense. So I didn't really know. I just wanted to graduate. I thought that was the next step. I'll just graduate and then I'll just get a job that pays the bills, and I don't know what I'm going to do. So I was lost.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure to make that decision and have without the clarity. But it sounds like at least you very much knew yourself, and that like being who you were, that emotional tie with other people might not be the healthiest. Mm-hmm. What was the corporate job that you took right out of school?
I was a recruiter. I would work for company. I worked for a company where we placed individuals in different positions, and it was like a commission-based role. And I was just not motivated by the money. And I felt like, I don't know, like sometimes you felt like you were helping people like get a job, but at the end of the day, you were really more working for the client and filling an open role. And it was just a lot of like phone call after phone call after phone call and just being behind a computer and a lot of pressure to perform. And I realized, just in being that environment, it was fun. I made some really, great friends. They hired a lot of young, fun people right out of college like myself. So we did lots of happy hours and that kind of stuff. And I had some good friendships come out of it. But I looked around and the people that had been, working really long hours and just the levels of stress and lack of sleep and just not eating right. I mean, this is kind of like what made me feel like I don't want that for myself. And like, I could already feel the stress of like the unhappiness getting the best of me in that career. But I started feeling like, I knew for a while, this isn't really the industry I want to be in, but what do I want to do? So, that's when I started really thinking like, maybe I should really get into health and wellness. Like I was always kind of into taking care of my body and, exercising and trying to eat right. But it wasn't until I started having my own health issues. And I do think that the stress from really being unhappy in this job was a big trigger for some of my my own symptoms early on. And then I just decided like, I need to make a big change here.
What was, you took care of your body, you were into exercise and health. Was that your first intention to sort of focus more on, exercise, or what did you think because wellness now, I'm curious how many years ago this was, like wellness is such a big topic, right? There's like so many things that are included in it. Then did you feel like you had all these choices at your fingertips, or was it a bit more?
I felt like I was going to have to start all over, and I didn't know where to start or what to do. I felt really trapped because I felt like, well, I don't have any experience. Like who am I to tell somebody like how to eat or how to move their body? Like I have this bachelor's in psychology, and then I've got this a handful of years of recruiting experience. Like who's going to listen to me? Like what can I do? Who's going to hire me? Yeah. And so, my husband actually got a job. He got a job promotion, and my now husband, we were just dating at the time, but he got promoted and we moved to Phoenix for a few years. And it was kind of a blessing in disguise for me because it was my opportunity to put in my notice with this job that I was very unhappy with. And I actually got my foot in the door with a very entry-level position with Cigna. In their, they had this at the time, like very small health and wellness department. And my goal was I don't care if I'm just like doing data entry, like basic stuff that I'm overqualified for, but I want to get in there and I want them to pay for me to go back to school because I wanted to go back and get my master's. And once I figured out what I wanted to study, then it was kind of like a snowball effect from there.
How smart. So did you know, looking at that opportunity, that they would be able to pay for school? Because I don't even realize, doesn't come to me that I forget jobs might actually do that for you.
Yeah. Well, I had so much student loan debt from my undergrad that I was like, I don't want to pay for any more of my own education, but I feel like I really, I love learning, and I knew that I wanted to shift careers. And if I wanted to really make myself credible and get some more experience, I could do it hands-on and slowly work my way up in this Cigna job, which I did because I ended up working there for almost 9 years. But I knew that, once you work there for a certain amount of time, like that was kind of part of their package, part of their compensation package, which was huge for me, because I don't think I would have gone back to school on my own and taken out all the student loans, because my master's program, it was I can't remember. It was like a 50 plus credit hours program. It's a master's in nutrition and integrative health. And, it took me almost 5 years, because I did it very kind of part-time and, my own pace, but, it was so worth it. One of the best decisions I made.
That's amazing. Were you moving from Phoenix? Did you move to Phoenix from the Conejo Valley? Are you from here originally?
Yeah, no, I'm actually from St. Louis, Missouri originally, but my husband's from here, kind of in the Westlake, Thousand Oaks area. We met in college. We both went to University of Missouri, Columbia at Mizzou. And yeah, we were good friends, dated the last semester, and then did long distance for a couple of years after we graduated. And then I made the move out here. So I was living here for like a couple of years. Then we were in Phoenix for a few years, and then we came back.
Okay. And did you say when you moved back, so you got the job with Cigna when you moved to Phoenix, and then when you moved back here, sounds like you probably stayed with Cigna.
I stayed with Cigna. I was able to work. They set me up virtually to work from home. So I was able to work and get my master's at the same time. I completed my master's and then decided I knew I wanted to start a business, but I was like, it's like I'm making good money with Cigna at this point, and like my job is so easy. I could do it with my eyes closed type deal, and then I got pregnant, and I actually continued to take advantage of the education reimbursement there. And there was this coaching program that I really wanted to do. It's a functional medicine coaching certification. It was a year-long program. And I thought, okay, if I can pair this with my master's, then I can really like set myself up to start my own business. And so yeah, while I was, I finished that up. I had my son and was just kind of balancing the education piece with the working full time, with having my son and being at home. Like for all of that, all of it was virtual. So it was a lot of computer time.
I can imagine a lot of balancing. My goodness, is 3 major endeavors all at once.
Well, and I only had part-time childcare too. And my son didn't sleep. He literally didn't sleep for an entire year. So it was exhausting, but I'd do it again. I'd probably just tweak a few things here and there. But yes, it was exhausting, but here we are.
Yeah, on the other side of it. So I think that sometimes like the path can be more challenging, but once you get to the other side and you were able to marry that MS with this functional coaching. And tell us a little bit about how the idea for Nourish Within Wellness came to be, and at what year and at what point after, finishing these programs.
Yeah. So, I actually, right in the middle of COVID, it was a blessing in disguise. They closed our department at Cigna, and because I was dragging my feet with wanting to leave. Like, should I start my business while I'm working there full time? What is my business going to focus on? Like, I kept getting the advice of, you have to like pick a niche. You can't just like be a health coach. You have to, especially if you're going to have a virtual practice, which is what my plan was. You have to kind of find something that you specialize in. And so in my own journey, I had been working on healing several autoimmune conditions. I had some health challenges throughout my life, like smaller things, looking back at the time, like some thyroid issues and some chronic tension headaches and IBS. So some, GI stuff going on. And it wasn't until right after I had my son, and it was probably just combination of not getting enough sleep and too much stress and all the things, not enough self-care, I really started having some of my biggest flares. And I got diagnosed with officially Hashimoto's. I knew I had a hypothyroidism for a while, but Hashimoto's, and then Sjogren's, which is another autoimmune condition. It's a connective tissue disorder. And then from there, interstitial cystitis, which, if you're not familiar, is also known as painful bladder syndrome. So I had been working, privately on healing my own body holistically through everything that I had learned in my nutrition program and in my coaching. And I decided, this needs to be my focus. There's other women like me who are trying to balance it all, but they're not prioritizing their self-care, and they're going to all these doctors. They're probably getting gaslit about their symptoms, whether they're, postpartum like me, and their symptoms are just being brushed under the rug. You're a new mom, you're stressed, you're not sleeping. It's normal to feel like crap all day,
Right. Yeah.
But no, that wasn't enough for me. For me, it was important to identify and address the root causes of why was I, getting all these autoimmune conditions, and what was triggering my symptoms, and how could I heal holistically by making some changes with my diet and my lifestyle choices. So I was able to really put a lot of my symptoms in remission, 90+% of the time, over some time. And then I thought to myself, okay, well, this is going to be my focus moving forward. So I decided from there, once I got laid off, I was like, okay, well, this is going to be my business, Nourish Within Wellness, and I'm going to help other women with autoimmune conditions. But that imposter syndrome set in, and I wasn't 100% healed. And I don't know if 100% healing with autoimmune conditions is actually possible. Conventional medicine says that there's no cure, but you can go into remission. At the time, several years ago, I thought, well, who am I to, help somebody else if I still have days where I'm not feeling great? So I drug my feet on it because I got a nice severance. I was getting unemployment, because of COVID, all the things, I was making more money doing nothing. I took a break for a little bit, and then I just
hated it a little bit too.
I did. I was happy. I took maybe a 6-month break for the first time in my life. I had always had multiple jobs, or a job and going to school at the same time. So I did. I took a break, and then I decided I was going to go back and I was going to study for my national board certification as a health and wellness coach, which is the highest credentialing that you can get as a coach. And the main reason I thought to do that is because I have the time right now. I'm getting these paychecks. And if I don't do this now, I'm probably never going to do it because I don't have work, to distract me. My son finally was sleeping. So I went back and I studied for about 4 months for that exam, and I passed that exam. So after that, I'm like, okay, no more excuses. I'm starting a business.
Credentials you could possibly need.
Well, yeah. And I used them kind of as a crutch, I think, because I had I was very overwhelmed with the idea of starting my own business, by myself. There's all these decisions to make, and where do I even start?
And in your mind, was the only option to start your own business, or did you ever consider joining somebody else's practice? Or
I looked around. I really wanted to partner with another practitioner, like a functional medicine, very holistic minded practitioner, and really ideally have my coaching services be integrated within their practice. And I did, reach out within the community, and I made a lot of connections early on. And it did start with okay, well, we'll send you some referrals and see how that goes. And, I made, like I said, I met a lot of practitioners. A lot of them had a hard time, I think, finding the value, and maybe I just didn't know how to sell, the value of, having that collaboration and having a coach as part of their practice. And plus it was still COVID time. So people were not spending money on these extra things, or what they saw as, non-necessary services. So, I missed being part of a team because I was part of a team for so long. So just that isolation and that pressure of like this business is like, it's all on me. And where are my clients going to come from? Because the first year I was just working towards getting hours because I had to get a certain amount of coaching hours to get my board certification. So the first year I coached everybody for free. So then I was like, well, I got to start, if I'm going to call this a business, I got to start charging people. Right. So I did get some referrals from practitioners, but it didn't really take off until more recently. I finally got a solid partnership with a doctor, and she's actually in Northern California, but she also specializes in women with autoimmunity, and she's got a functional medicine background. So we just really aligned. I met her on Instagram. And we now have a joint program together, and it's a 4-month coaching program called Road to Remission. And this is like exactly what I was looking for. So they get the medical side with her. She, does 4 consultations over the course of the month. And then I do biweekly coaching to help them implement the interventions that the doctor is putting into place. So it finally happened for me. That partnership, but I can still also, I still have private clients on my own as well. So it's nice because I have kind of the best of both worlds.
Wow, that's incredible. And it sounds like it took some time to get there, but being able to do both sides of it and see that out must feel really good. Yeah. How would you describe your one-on-one coaching? If somebody was to come to you, what would they expect?
It's very personalized. I really take a holistic, kind of comprehensive approach, especially like in the beginning. We spend a lot of time talking about all the different aspects of lifestyle. Most people want to start with nutrition, but we also talk about, my focus is really more on an anti-inflammatory lifestyle. So the anti-inflammatory approach to nutrition, but also how can we keep our inflammation low through other aspects of our life, our sleep habits, our stress management, our mindset, our toxin exposure. What are we doing for self-care, self-love, those type of things? All of that plays a role in my coaching. Usually we'll start with nutrition, especially for the individuals that have autoimmune conditions. We'll usually start with trying to identify any nutritional triggers to symptoms, food sensitivities. So sometimes, we'll do an elimination diet and we'll eliminate certain types of foods and bring them back in strategically one at a time to see what people are reacting to, and then address some gut health imbalances and issues there, to allow for some healing before, bringing some of these foods back in. And then, we'll just go into whatever really is kind of the areas that they're struggling with most. If they can't cook meals from home, they feel like they can't cook meals from home because they're so exhausted all the time. Maybe we need to start with sleep. Let's take a look at, why are we so exhausted? It's probably a combination of things, but if you're telling me that you're not sleeping through the night and you're going to bed at 1 a.m. and, snacking and drinking a lot of wine before bed. And, maybe we can address some of these things first. So, it's very, very like bio-individual. My coaching is, it's mostly virtual unless somebody is local and wants to meet in person. I'm in Thousand Oaks. I love meeting people at like a coffee shop if they want to, but it's usually bi-weekly coaching sessions virtually. And, in between sessions, they do have unlimited messaging access to me, as well, to kind of ask me questions, for me to touch base and see how they're doing with goals that they've set. And we just, most of my clients, will sign up for a 6-month program with me, for the one-on-one coaching. So over the course of those 6 months, it's really, we're taking a look at, like I said, every aspect of their lifestyle to get them feeling their best.
When you started out, did you have a business plan? Was that kind of like how you imagined? Obviously you said you wanted a partnership, but were you starting it with like, here's my forecast, or
I had no business plan. I just kind of played around with some things, and, I still am, to be honest. I think, because it's still a fairly new business, because it started so slowly, and, because that first year was really a lot of coaching individuals for free, over time I put some systems in place, and I got my website laid out with my services, and I think it will always be evolving, honestly, based on feedback that I get from individuals that I coach, and and
like a program based. It's so interesting how I think services have evolved over time in terms of how you can approach them. And just like you said, you've got this 4-month program, or you can do 6-month one-on-one coaching.
Yeah.
And even remembering when I was talking to Darlene about this, like defining those programs are some of the challenges, is like, what is my end goal? How can I reach the most people? Do you have guidance in that from your schooling, or is that just something that you sort of have defined based on?
Kind of. I mean, I'm part of an alumni program for my, where I got my coaching certification. So sometimes they'll do like webinars where they give you business advice. So I'll take tidbits from here and there. I also, realized that I was missing that in-person connection with people. And I realized I had been working from home for so long. I don't know anybody. Like, my family's all in St. Louis. All my oldest friends are in St. Louis. Like, I don't have a community here. And I am trying to build like a referral based business. With coaching, that's really like, you're going to get most of your clients, especially in the beginning, from referrals. So I decided, I had been doing some networking. I hate networking events. I'm actually pretty introverted at heart, but I just, after COVID, I'm like, I really just miss being with people and like getting together in person. And I had found myself like really stepping out of my shell, especially after having my son, and like, you know how it is when you have, do you have kids?
I do. Yes.
You do. Okay. Yeah. So it can be very isolating, that postpartum period, but I really tried to make an effort to make other mom friends and, get together, go for walks together and join mom groups and that type of thing. And I realized I got to do the same thing with my business. Like, I'm doing these networking events, but there's like real estate agents and there's finance people and there's all these other people, but like, are they really going to be good connections for me? Like, I want to learn from other mompreneurs like myself that have built businesses in the health and wellness arena. And like, how can we support each other? Like, how can we share referrals? How can we lift each other up, educate each other? How can we, and just even developing friendships too. I wanted some mentors. So I created, the idea of kind of like my own networking group. It's called the Conejo Valley Wellness Community. And we started it this summer. A friend of mine wanted to do it with me. She's a mom friend. We met in when our babies were like at Horizon Hills, when our babies were, like a month old, and now they are in first grade together. And she's an RN and she's also a hypnobirthing educator. And so she's doing my hypnobirthing classes for me as I prepare to have my next baby next month. So
congratulations.
Thank you. So when I told her my idea and like my vision for the Conejo Valley Wellness Community, she was like, I totally want to be involved. I think there's a huge need for that in this community. And so we launched it. We created a private Facebook group and an Instagram. And our goal really initially was just to like meet up monthly with any other like-minded, health and wellness practitioners that have their own business that wanted to make connection with other practitioners and build like referrals and partnerships and collaborations and friendships, and just how can we all get to know each other and support each other and just really help each other's businesses grow. So yeah, that's kind of been a passion project of mine.
Does that seem where people look like, were they welcoming to it?
Yeah. They love it. We've got 100 members now.
Wow. And that's last summer is when you started it.
Yeah, this past summer.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's great growth.
Yeah. And it's fun. Every month we meet and we share what we do in the private Facebook community, but it's not like another Facebook group where you see like a lot of people just promoting, like every week you see the promotion of stuff. It's more of, here's what's new in my business, or like a new service that I'm offering, or I'm having this open house or this special event, and we all support each other that way. But it's, I've gotten several referrals. I found a lot of practitioners myself that I use, my pelvic floor physical therapist, my doula, my acupuncturist. I mean, they're all part of this community. I met them all through this community.
And they're all women, you said too?
It didn't start out as the idea of it really wasn't exclusively for women, but I want to say 98% of the people that are in the group are women. I think women maybe are just more naturally drawn to kind of come together in that supportive capacity. And it's kind of nice because a lot of what we talk about in these meetups too is like balancing work life with owning a business and having, a family and a household and all the things. So we try to have like a theme, like a topic each time. We'll go around and everybody introduces themselves for the new people that come. And then we'll kind of have like a topic that we'll workshop through, which is kind of fun. So
sounds like you built something for your own needs, but that obviously tapped into the needs of many others in the Conejo Valley. And and that is incredible. Is Empower also part of that?
So Empower was another venture. It's been a busy past year. So I recruited a friend of mine who is also another coach and nutritionist, and she's also a mom friend. Our kids are in first grade together. And I had this kind of desire for a while to offer in-person group coaching, but I didn't want to do it by myself. And she's, Jules is amazing. And she offers, she's got a little bit of a different education background, but she's also got more of a specialty in women's hormones. And she does more with weight loss than I do too. And, for me, focusing more on autoimmunity and perinatal wellness more recently, we just figured that would be a great combo to offer these in-person group coaching sessions. And we partnered with, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the new wellness studio in Westlake called Embody.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. So they are a new, it's a beautiful space in Westlake, and they offer yoga classes and sound bath and a lot of pre and postnatal stuff for moms, Mommy and Me yoga, or they've got several pelvic floor physical therapists that work there. So it's I'm doing a lot of their classes to prepare for birth. And but they've also got massage therapists, and they host, they just hosted a lot of different health and wellness related classes and services and offerings to focus on women. And so we partnered with them. We presented our idea of having a weekly weekly women's wellness circle. That is a tongue twister.
Yeah.
And so we go in every week, not every single week, because we've been toying around with, biweekly, or we're currently in the middle of a 3-week series. So, we go in, Jules and I, and host a group, and it's women who are really looking for, some accountability and support in setting goals around their health and wellness. So, we'll discuss any and every topic under the umbrella of women's health. Usually you will have a topic ahead of time that we promote. And so people they're either interested and sign up, or maybe they wait for the next one. But the idea is really for women to come consistently and really kind of build that sense of community as they're on their journey to elevating their health and wellness, but also getting some of the coaching expertise from us as far as like the educational guidance and that accountability piece. So that's been really fun. So that also is kind of filling my cup with having that in-person piece that I had been missing for so long.
You went from like 0 to 100 when it comes to
right.
person. But I do think post-COVID life, people were looking for that personal interaction. And I can imagine when it comes to health and wellness, there is a level of connection that happens in person when you're talking about those topics that is really special that you've been able to bring to life and in different ways.
Yeah.
What are you most proud of?
Oh, that's a good question. It's kind of a hard question because I'm not really the type to like pat myself on the back. I am always like, what can I do better and where can I, work harder? I think like I'm probably most proud of my perseverance and just determination. Like, and when I have an idea, I see it through. Like, I don't give up on it easily. Like with the Conejo Valley Wellness Community and with the Empower, the more recent Empower Women's Wellness classes. I don't let my fear of failure stop me from taking these risks. And even though I feel like I'm far from where I want to be in terms of my business goals, I feel like I've come a really long way, and I've really stepped out of my comfort zone in so many different ways that I guess I'm proud of that piece.
I mean, I think that's amazing. And to start multiple different businesses while having a son and another child on the way, you should be giving yourself a lot of pat on the back, I think.
Thank you.
What would you say has been your biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge, there's been a lot of challenges. I think the financial piece has been very hard. Like if I'm being really, really honest here, especially with having a second baby on the way, you think if you don't get paid time off when you're self-employed, like I did with my son 7 years ago. I think just not having more consistent passive income, if I'm not, signing new clients and constantly putting out new content and figuring out, new ways to generate income in my business. I mean, it's all on me. It really is all on me. So, there's kind of this sense of, with having another baby next month, yes, I'm going to take that time and do the bonding. And, I'm fortunate enough to have a supportive husband who has a good job, but I also never want to rely on him financially. Mm-hmm. And then, maybe there's a little bit of resentment there on his end that I am not pulling more financial weight. I'm sure I think that's the hardest part is figuring out the money. That's the hard part for me.
And I appreciate that honesty about it.
Yeah.
Because I think there is, we can position starting a business as this really exciting, glamorous thing. But the reality is it still requires income and to your point, other life changes that in a corporate setting, you won't feel as maybe stressed about too. So,
yeah.
But are you, my next question is, what do you see the vision of Nourish Within Wellness and your business? And maybe that parlays into what's going on right now as you transition to having another child. And then what do you see as a vision to help you feel more sort of stable, maybe within even the financial part of it?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think down the line, it'd be nice to have some sort of online program where it's more of like a membership model, where people still have access to me and there's content available for them, and they're getting a lot of valuable information, but also not as many touch points with me, but it's more an opportunity for them to get the coaching that they need, but me not spending as much one-on-one time. So it's more automated, and it's more, a little bit more passive income too. I've been playing around with some like affiliate, being affiliates for some products, like wellness products as well. So maybe starting to see a little bit of passive income coming through from some of the stuff that I recommend anyways to people. So I might as well make a commission on it as an affiliate. So those people that want to help support my small business can do so by, buying some of my recommended wellness products that they're probably is on their radar anyway. Like I get asked a lot, like what water filter do you use? Or what air filter do you recommend? Or, different, my favorite matcha brand, that kind of stuff. So, really spending a little bit more time. I don't want to be, an influencer or anything like that. But like finding ways to kind of incorporate that into what I'm already doing. I think, at some point I'll probably, hire a business coach to help me and mentor me in my business. And just get a little bit more direction on, okay, so I've got all these things and how can I really like grow from here and really have more of a, just a more like really a formal business plan and some better guidance in place on the financial side of things.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you are not short of good ideas and getting them done. To your point, like you have the idea, you execute on it, and then figuring out how to just make them work even harder for you, which is smart. And I know that as a coach, I'm sure you can understand the value of a business coach. I mean, whenever I've had like a more professional coach, business coach type person, they give you different ways to look at something. And I think that's where the value of having a coach come in, whether it's your wellness or your business, is able to spot things that maybe are harder for you to see on your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that they will all come together and that you deserve your break to have your child and then kind of take the business to even the next level. I'm going to go into my quick rapid fire questions. The first one being the number one tip that you would provide or that you usually give to somebody who's coming in to see you for the first time.
Yeah, it's usually they're on the fence about wanting to spend the money and they feel they're so busy. I'm too busy. Like, how am I going to change my nutrition? Like, I don't have time for anything. Like, they're feeling like, I don't know, they put everybody else first. Yeah. So it's really helping them understand the importance of putting themselves first and slowing down. Like sometimes you have to give things up in your life that are contributing to you feeling sick. So I will usually, it's not really a tip, but it's more of just sharing my story and my journey, and people will either relate to that and think, well, if she could do it, then I can do it. Or it will just help to motivate them a little bit, to take that step and get started.
So it's kind of the self-awareness piece is the first part to recognize you have a problem. Yeah. I mean, I guess the first step of connecting with you is that they know something maybe is funky, but yeah, having to like make actual change can be sometimes the hardest part.
Yeah, exactly.
So what would you say is your favorite thing to do in the Conejo Valley?
Oh, in the community, I think I just look forward to like our meetups every time. And when new people come and getting to know them and what they do and like help. And when I see, connections happening and like I hear of like, oh, this partnership happened and these two are getting together and they're offering this combined service. And I feel like, wow, like maybe I played a role in that. It's just really rewarding.
Love that. Last question for you is, what is a piece of advice you'd offer to first-time entrepreneurs?
Just get started. Like it can be very overwhelming to think about like, oh, where do I like a website and like pricing and what, like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, you know, you go to all this school and you're educated, but it's like all the business stuff, that's like a whole different animal and can be very overwhelming. So I would say just do one small thing, like towards building your business. And maybe that's like choosing a name. I mean, that wasn't easy for me. It took a long time, but like, or just like, you know, make a one tiny goal that you can start with and then just build from there.
Yeah. That's excellent. And I think, picking a name seems like an easy step, but it can take, it has like a lot of weight to it, but you're right. And making a little goal and those small goals move into a bigger thing. So, Juliet, this has been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your story and being so candid in your experience and for helping bring other entrepreneurs and people together throughout the Conejo Valley to all improve and everybody, you know, can all tides. I always get the expression wrong, but you know, we're all trying to move people up together, and it sounds like you're being a really big part of that. So thank you for that. And thank you for joining me today.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. This was fun and I enjoyed our conversation.
That was Juliet Tabbara, owner of Nourish Within Wellness. Make sure to subscribe to Conejo Valley Visionaries wherever you listen to podcasts so that you never miss an episode. And follow us at Conejo Valley Visionaries on Instagram to learn more about each guest and enter our weekly giveaways. If you want to share your visionary story on the podcast, send us a DM. We are always open to guest nominations. This episode was produced by Cristina Dennstedt and Justin J.Sloan. Conejo Valley Visionaries is edited by Justin J.Sloan and J.Sloan Productions.